Yeah. All right, here we go. I'm assuming we're live. I'm using for those people who want to, who are interested in this live video thing and how to do it and what to use and all that kind of good stuff. Today I'm using BeLive.tv. This is Jordan Molson. Welcome to, I believe it's episode 5. Yes, episode 5 of Local Social Live, where we talk all things social media, live streaming. We're doing this live, and we try to do our best to put a local spin on everything that we discuss so that local businesses, which are the closest to my heart, have a way, or I guess we essentially remove the excuses that local businesses so often have on why not to do this whole social media, live streaming, digital webs, marketing stuff. So that's where my heart's at. I want to see local businesses leverage and use this new digital media, highfalutin their live streaming stuff for their own businesses because it's relevant, it gets attention, and everybody should be doing it, man. It's just how it should be done. If you're not using social media and live streaming, tell the Velociraptors to be nice. That's all I got to say. All right, so hopefully I put out some links in today's show for folks to join me. So I'm hoping there'll be at least one brave soul who happens to see this while we're recording it live and decides to jump on with me. I'm just putting the vibes out there so somebody catches it. I don't care if you want to talk about cats. I want somebody to come on the show with me. We can talk about whatever you want. No, I'm not desperate. I just want to have fun with somebody to talk to. But I do have everything planned out and laid out today on what we're going to discuss. And I know it's going to be valuable because it's valuable to me. And I know there's at least one other person on the planet who is at least sort of like me and will find this stuff valuable. So today, welcome to the replay, because most likely that's where you're going to be watching this from. But no matter if it's 12:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday afternoon, or whether it's 12:03 a.m. Thursday morning, I want you to watch this video as if it was happening right this moment. Like right now that you're watching it, that I'm sitting here right here with you and we're having a discussion. So as I present things, talk about things, ask questions, say stuff, I want to hear your voice. I want your voice to be heard pertaining to the things that we're discussing on the show. So I invite you to watch this as if it's happening, and let's have a conversation together, because whether it's right now at 12:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or whether it's 2 a.m. Friday morning, I will respond to every comment that comes in. We will have a discussion. So I want you to make your voice heard. Most people like to make their voice heard. So I invite you to do that. And again, if you happen to catch this from wherever you're watching it from, and it is 12:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or within the 12 o'clock hour on Wednesday afternoon, and you see that little live icon on the screen, and you'd like to jump in with me, there's a link around this video in the description or somewhere where you can, it won't put you on camera immediately, so don't be afraid, but you can click a link around this video, and it'll bring you into the lobby. And then I'll see when somebody pops on, I'll see you on the screen in my little dashboard here where I'm managing the show. And then I can bring you in and we can have a discussion. It can be really, really fun. It could be fun. Okay. So today again is off the cuff. I was almost going down, a little personal business. I was almost going to head down to the hospital to see my memo. And decided just to come on in last minute anyway. I'm going to go to the hospital as soon as I'm done with this show. I'm going to go down to the hospital and visit her for a little while and then come back to the offices and do business. But so today there's something on my heart. I'll just go ahead and jump right into it. I try to be structured, but who needs structure, right? Yeah, everybody needs structure. So I want to talk about audience. I want to talk about audience building, playing for a specific audience, And it's kind of going to all sum up in the title. It said we're talking about audience misperceptions, performing for that audience of one, that one person. And we're going to break that down and what that means. And we're going to talk about consistency in everything that you're doing in your business, not just social media, but consistency in everything, and the importance of finding out what you're passionate about, or what causes you to feel passionate enough to do something consistently. Find those things in your business that you can do consistently, even when they're hard to do. You have enough chutzpah to at least push through to do it, no matter what. Consistency. And we're going to talk about how all those things, audience misperceptions and the correct perceptions of audiences, playing to and performing for that audience of one, that one perfect person, and doing so consistently, how it's going to all pay off. And if we can, I might even get into a couple of case studies. Really, I'm going to see if I can find the case studies that are in my head, because I know I've heard them somewhere, and they may have come from people who are using BeLive TV. So I streamed personally this morning on my way into the office. Let me just check here before I get into things. Let me just make sure, yeah, everything looks good. I'm hoping that audio is coming through well. I haven't checked. Let me check audio. Jordan, that'd be a good thing to do there, son. Check that audio. Make sure that it's coming through. I haven't checked. Let me check. Yes. It's coming through, but now my screen froze. There we go. All right. It's coming through. Audio's good. Okay. So I streamed personally this morning talking about how in today's digital age, we are, let me get this. I wish you could make these little things smaller. All right. Yeah, we'll leave it off. I guess I could push my computer back a little farther. Anyway, this morning I was talking about, I was on my way into the office and I was thinking about things for myself, like talking to myself, encouraging myself. And it has to do with this show and creating content and doing marketing, doing social. And I just got to thinking that, man, literally today, we in the social digital world that we live in, everything we do, we are always on stage. People are always watching. What we do, our performance, speaks. What we don't do, when we don't show up, that speaks. So whether we're on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and our blogs, whether we're there once a day, 5 times a day, once a week, whatever, that speaks. That speaks to whoever's watching. So what is your consistency? What is your schedule saying to people? It speaks. It says something. I don't know exactly to your audience what it says when you're there or not there, but both of those avenues, both of those actions speak. When you're there, it says something, usually what you're saying. When you're not there, it also says something. And that's the more important thing to figure out. When you show up for a week every day and then you're gone for 6 weeks, that says something. To me, it would say, you know, you hopped on social to see if this social thing works, and you didn't make $1 million in that week that you posted every day. So you hopped off of Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or whatever and said, this social media stuff just don't work. I did it for 5 days in a row and I didn't make a single $1 million. It does not work. That's how a lot of local businesses think. I've talked to them. That's true. People think that way. It's crazy because most of the people that I hang out with and interact with online are people like me, but better. They're doing this stuff and it makes their living. And, so to hear local business owners say stuff like that, it's hilarious. But that speaks. So don't want to get off track here. So an audience misperceptions. Some of the most powerful stories that I've heard from people, and if I can find the case studies here on this show, you better believe that I'm gonna track them down and I'm gonna share them with you because they're powerful, and it speaks to all three things that I want to discuss today, which is playing to the audience of one consistently and how it pays off, and also audience misperceptions. So let me gather my thoughts. On the way into work, I was thinking about telling myself, Jordan, you're doing stuff differently. You've never really built an audience for yourself. I'm talking to myself. You've never really built an audience for yourself. You've always been focused and spending your time doing things for other people. So you've never really done this for yourself like you've done for others or preached at others or taught others to do. You've never really done it for yourself. So like anything, usually in the beginning, when you're starting out, things don't just take off like a rocket and all of a sudden you're in the moon 5 minutes later. It doesn't happen that way. For astronauts to think that they can take off in a very, very high they paddled really hard in that shuttle. Let me tell you, for astronauts to think that they can take off in a very high-powered ship and just be at the moon 10 minutes later or 3 minutes later, that would be illogical. That would be ignorant. So for folks to think that we can come on, even myself, preaching to myself too, that we can come on and start creating something and instantly we're going to have an audience of 1,000 people or even 100 people. It's illogical. But the good news is today, and I'm going to share some stories that I've heard, and hopefully I can find them. I'm going to share some stories today that are going to prove that it doesn't matter whether you're playing to an audience of 10 people or 10,000 people. There's usually only one person that you really need to be speaking to. And it's that one person that can completely change everything for you. Whether it be that perfect client, that one perfect client. For some reason, a roofing company popped in my head. So whether you're live streaming to one person or 10 people, it's that one person who's going to be watching you that may never like your post, that may never interact and comment with your show or your video, that may never share anything. You may not even know they're connected to you. They may not even like your page. They may not even be your friend on Facebook. But that one person who's going to watch you and see if you show up, and they're in the market for a roof or whatever, superimpose whatever you want into that. They're in the market for a roof. And they're the kind of people that take their time and watch and watch and watch. But when they finally decide to speak up and call you and say, I've been watching you do your little live shows about roofing for the past 8 months. And we've been planning right now to go ahead and choose a roofing contractor. And you're the only one I've seen doing this live streaming thing or posting on Instagram or whatever. I'd like to have you come out and give me a quote. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to give you my business because I like you already, because I've seen you for 8 months. And it could be that one person who you go out and you do a fantastic job for, and they're so thrilled because they had a social experience, a social interaction with you that translated to them actually giving you money, which probably felt to them like a risk. But then when you performed for them, you made them right. You would give trust to them. You would make them trust themselves that this social thing works. Follow me here. And it's only in that experience that you create somebody who is now not just a satisfied customer, but a fan. Somebody who could potentially be fanatic about you and your roofing company or plumbing company or whatever. And you never know. It's that one person who could have a network of the entire neighborhood, let's say. Maybe that one person who takes choosing a roofing contractor so seriously is on the board or the chairman of their neighborhood group or whatever. And because they watched you for months, you showed up consistently when you were supposed to show up, They got to know you. They got to like you. They got to see your work. They call you. You perform for them better than they thought you would. Now they're going to bat for you. They're putting their reputation on the line to get you more business. And that person who's a chairman on the board of the community committee or whatever now tells all their friends, their entire neighborhood, what you did and their experience and the story that they have with you. So I don't know why I just went down that rabbit trail. Maybe today there's something going on in the ecos that I'm supposed to be talking that a roofer is going to see this. I don't know why I went down that rabbit trail right there. But superimpose your business over a roofing business and just take yourself on that journey. Imagine that kind of a story. Because let me tell you something. As sure as I know that I'm sitting here alive in my skin recording this video, I know that scenario is going to happen on this planet probably more than once, probably thousands upon thousands of times. Eventually, it could happen now for the businesses that are serious enough about their business to get their egos out of their heads and start doing some of this social media stuff and start live streaming or just posting a video. Live streaming's better, but even if you just recorded a video and then uploaded it, that's better than nothing. So I say all that to say this in that example. The most important people who are watching you are probably the people who you're never going to know are actually watching you. And that's what I'm referring to when I say we're discussing audience misperceptions. Because even myself, I don't now. That's why I'm preaching to myself this morning on the drive into the office. But most people, when they start out, they somehow think that because live streaming or social media is so new and powerful, and there's so many people around them sharing these powerful stories, that somehow just by them brand new, no audience, no nothing, that somehow they're going to step into Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and they're instantly going to have the story that they heard from, Joe the plumber down the road. The expectations haven't been set properly. And that's really all it comes down to. So that scenario, audience misperceptions. Right now, I'll use myself as an example. Right now, I don't see that anybody is watching me live. But I know that people are going to watch the replay. And I know that it only takes one person that may or may not even like or interact or comment on this video to see me. Maybe a roofer sees this and they reach out to me and they say, dude, I hear what you're saying and it spoke to me and I like what you're doing. I like you, blah, blah, blah. I want to hire you to do some marketing for me. I want to hire you to coach me in live streaming. Would that be worth it for me to continue on this live stream, even though right this second, 0 people are watching? Of course it would. And that's audience misperceptions. Don't look at the numbers. Eventually you have to look at the numbers. But when you're starting out with something, like for the example, I'm going to just speak to the roofer again. If you're just starting out with social media and live streaming as a roofer, don't expect to sell a roof in your first week. Don't expect to sell a roof in your first month. Don't expect to sell a roof in your first 6 months. Don't expect to sell a roof in your first year. Your first 12 months of starting to leverage live streaming. Don't do it for the sales. Set your expectations right. Do you ever run an ad in your local print publication and sell a roof the first day it comes out, or even the first month, or even the second month? No, most likely not. Possibly yes, depending on a lot of the factors with print advertising. But live streaming, social media is the same way. You need to play to the audience of one, whether you get 0 likes or 0 shares on whatever you put out, wherever you put it out at, or whether you get 100. You treat it the same. Because again, I'm going back and I'm going to beat this dead horse into the ground. You're playing to an audience of one. You're searching for that one perfect person that you need to speak to, that you need to interact with. And the ironic thing about that statement is usually that perfect person is the one person, or the tens of ones, that one person is the one who's not going to interact to let you know that they're watching. They're just going to watch and study you. But after a year of live streaming, roofer, you don't sell a single roof. And in one scenario, maybe that one person who's been watching you, for 12 months, admiring your consistency, if nothing else, maybe that one person after 12 months of watching you show up and show up and show up, and even show up when you know you're doing it horribly, but you still show up the next time, and no one's watching, and you still show up the next time. That person who's watched that entire experience has never spoken up and been watching you the entire time. After a year, speaks up and says, I'm a commercial real estate guy. I own about 30 different commercial real estate properties. I've had them for about 15, 20 years, and they all need new roofs. They all need to be re-roofed. And I've been watching you for 12 months, and I'm impressed. You're doing what I've not seen any other of our colleagues in the roofing, any of your colleagues in the roofing industry are doing. So I want to give you my business. Do you do commercial roofing? By that time, they'll know if you do or not. Would that be worth it? If it took you 12 months of screwing up, doing it wrong, stepping over your words, maybe looking stupid on video to yourself, and after 12 months of no one showing up, no one really interacting, no one really sharing, no sales coming in, but that one guy finally calls you up and said, I've been watching your live streams for the past 12 months. I'd like you to re-roof my 30 commercial buildings. I don't even know how much money that'd be, but it'd probably be into the millions, or at least 1 million, I'd think. Doesn't matter. What if it's only 300,000? Would that be worth it? Only you can answer that. You may look at that 12-month history and all the fear of getting on video that you had to go through. It may not be worth 300 or 400 or 500,000 or a million. But guess what? I bet you there's a roofer down the road who that would mean everything to, and they would be willing to do all of that. So I say all that to say, I don't know where this is coming from my heart today. I'll tell you what, this is a heart focused, this is a heart-based live stream today. I don't know where this is coming from. This is just like flowing. So maybe today, I don't know. Maybe today there's a roofer that's going to watch this replay, and I'm going to be able to build a friendship and a relation, not a friendship, but a relationship out of it. So, yeah. All right. Whenever you watch this, whether you're with me live right now or you're watching the replay as if it's live, it is live. I'd like you to share it if you're finding value in this, if you think what I'm saying is cool. I'd love for you to share it. I'd love for you to like it, but you don't have to, because I know a lot of you folks like to sit on the sidelines and watch and learn and study and so on and so forth. So on to the next thing, which really is all the same thing. So that's audience misperceptions. The misperception that in order for doing social media or in order for doing live streaming to be worth it, You have to have an audience. You have to have 100 people watching you every time in order for you to be worth it. That's a misperception, and it's causing you to fall behind. That's a huge audience misperception. Nobody just starts unless they've been online and they have an audience to pull from already. Nobody just starts out doing live streaming or social media or Instagram, whatever, with an instant audience of 100, 200, 500, 1,000, 5,000 people. It doesn't happen. It takes consistency. But you're not trying to reach the masses anyway. You shouldn't be. If you're trying to reach the masses, you're doing it wrong. You want to be speaking to that one person who's not going to like your post, who's not going to share your video, who's not going to comment. You want to speak to that one person that you know is watching, but you're never going to really know they're there. And that's a weird headspace to get in. Like right now, I feel like I'm talking to somebody who's not watching right now live in the very, 12:26 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But I literally feel like there's somebody on the other end of that camera who's going to watch these words that I'm speaking, and it's going to change their business. And here's the other part of that conviction. I don't care if I never know about it. That's the heart in what I'm saying. I have a heart for local business owners, moms and dads who are trying to put food on the table for their kids, who are trying to bless their communities, who are trying to be good people where they live and just do something successful with what they have. So there's somebody on the other end of this camera, whether it's right now or 10 weeks from now, is going to see this, and it's going to help them in some way. That's what matters. Knowing that it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. If I didn't believe that what I'm saying and doing is going to help at least one person, I wouldn't be doing it. So I'm confident. I know that what I'm saying right now, if even just one person sees it in the next several years, that's enough for me. That's proper audience expectation. That's proper audience perception. And I'm encouraging you to adopt the same attitude, because you never know who is watching. You are always, even if you're not online yet in a big way, even if you're not leveraging social media personally or for business, you are always on stage. There are always people watching you. And usually, the most important ones are the ones you never see watching, the ones you never know are watching. You're always performing. You're always on stage. So be yourself, be genuine, but perform well. So let me scroll down here and get the next little thing here. So consistency. Consistency really plays into everything that I've been discussing so far. Excuse me one second. Let me. Coffee. All right. Consistency these days, I believe, truly matters more than the production quality of what you're doing. Meaning, I'll use myself as an example. These videos, the show that you're watching right now, I would much rather have an awesome studio, like the live streaming pros, for example, or David Foster's Geek show. They've got killer sets, and that's what I'm going to use David Foster as an example. I think that's his last name, right? David and Luria from Live Streaming Pros. That's what they do for folks. I saw his story the other night when I was interacting with him. They go out and they set people up studios so that they can live stream at a professional level. So for me, I had a choice. Should I do this anyway and just become consistent at it and grow into that at some point, whether it's a year or 5 years from now? Or do I allow that to speak? Do I allow my ego to speak into that and say, well, if I can't have a production studio or a live studio set that looks as cool as these other people, then I'm just not going to do it because I don't want to look unprofessional or less than. That's horseshit. That's a limiting belief. So for me personally, I chose to commit myself to something and to commit to nothing else, at least to start with, than to be consistent. And for an example of this, today I started to debate with myself on whether to cancel. It's not like anybody's actually, there's 0 people watching right now. I'm not speaking. We go back to the audience perception thing. I'm not speaking to 100 people right now, all at once. Over time, I am speaking to 100 people, maybe hundreds of people over time. But right now, I was going along in my head. My grandmother's in the hospital. I wanted to go see her. And I thought, well, obviously that's more important. So maybe I'll just cancel. No one's going to know. But I made the commitment to myself to start out with this, no matter how it looks, no matter how polished it is, no matter what. I made the commitment to myself to be consistent and to show up no matter what, even if it's horrible, even if it's bad. That in the committing to myself to be consistent, it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off in a big way. I just don't know how long that is. It could be months, it could be years. So consistency today, and I'm talking to everybody, but specifically local business owners, consistency is more important than having things looking a certain way or looking polished or being super mega professional. That's good and that is valuable, but it's not so valuable to the point where you should not do anything if you can't do it at that certain level. So, man, I just want to drive that home. That's so important. Consistency is so much more important than production quality. And you can tell that for myself. I'm practicing what I'm preaching at you right now. Because I'm a perfectionist when it comes to stuff. And it's taken me years to work the perfectionist out of me when it comes to online media. I used to spend so much time tweaking videos, hours upon hours of tweaking videos, trying to make them perfect, exporting, rendering them, getting them finished, watching it, seeing one little mistake that probably no one and their mother would ever notice. And I'd go back and redo it just to fix that one mistake. There are some industries and there are some levels of levels of position in the world where that is required. That's a standard operating procedure. But for 99.9% of people in business today, that's not a requirement. It doesn't matter. And when you're a business to consumer, a B2C company who's trying to get roofing clients or trying to get customers to come in down to your ice cream shop or your pizza shop, perfection doesn't mean anything. It actually is the opposite. If you look too perfect to those consumers, you seem unapproachable. Something seems a little off. So the imperfections that they see in your media actually cause them to feel a little bit of an endearment towards you. Like, oh, they're not perfect, but they're still showing up. Oh, they're not creating the best video or the best image for their social, but they're here every day and they're giving me offers every day. That's good. That's what people want to see. They're not studying your perfectionism. They're studying, are you here or are you not here? Are you showing up or are you not showing up? And man, if I could just say one message to all local businesses, that's it. Show up in your underwear if you have to. I don't literally mean get on camera in your underwear. I just mean proverbially, for the sake of example, show up feeling like you're in your underwear, unprepared and messy, if you have to, if that's what it takes to get going. And then show up day after day, and then put a little more clothing on every day until you feel like you're in an Armani suit and you've got your flow down, you've got your content down, you've got your production value down to where you feel like you're on top of the world. It's all a process. Or, plug for myself, you can hire somebody like me to do all that for you, and then you don't have to worry about it. So that's the message for this whole What's Up Social Wednesday, episode number 5 of Local Social Live, is to stop thinking that you have to be playing to an audience of hundreds or thousands. Because in reality, even if you are playing and performing and speaking to an audience of hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands, you still, in your mind and in your heart, should be speaking and performing to that one person. Whether or not. That's who you're speaking to. And let me also address in that audience misperceptions again to recap. Sometimes you're going to show up for days and months and years where you're playing to what seems like an audience of zero, like I'm doing right now live. Nobody's watching this live as far as I can tell. Do it anyway. Because once I release this and it goes into a replay, it lives forever until I take it down or the internet implodes. So over the course of days and weeks and months, even though I'm speaking to 0 people right this second in real time, you're watching this, aren't you? You're watching this. You're my audience of 1. And over the course of days and weeks and months, I'm going to eventually be speaking right now to tens, dozens, hundreds, thousands of people across time. And the message is still going to be the same. So even if you can see with your own eyes, you're speaking to an audience of 0, do it anyway. Because when you replay it and reshare it and keep it out there to the world, it's what's called residual marketing. And until you remove it or the internet implodes, it's going to be out there forever for people to interact with and watch over time. So it's valuable. And you want to always be thinking that you're speaking to that one person, not hundreds, not thousands. You're speaking to one person, that audience of 1. And you want to do this consistently. Whatever your schedule is, if you can only make the commitment to yourself and your business to do 1 post a week, 1 live stream a week, whatever it is, do it. And don't let anything get in the way of it. For yourself. Because over time, people are going to notice that you're showing up just like an ABC or an NBC news show. And he shows up every Friday at noon. And he shows up every Wednesday at noon. Well, man, he's been doing this for 3 years? Wow. That's commitment. Hopefully you're tracking with me. So do it consistently. Get better as you go along. Be willing to look a fool. Be willing to look messy. Be willing to look unprofessional in the beginning, knowing that through the process you become better. It's natural. You can't avoid it. By doing something consistently, repetitively, over and over again, you become better at it. And you only become better at it by doing it in the process. And I'll use this as an example. As I was saying that, Gary Vaynerchuk comes to mind. And I'll never forget a video that I saw with Gary V where he said when he first started his wine library TV show, I may get the months incorrect, but the point is still the same. I believe he said he did his show every day for 18 months with no one watching. He did his show every day for 18 months and no one watched. No one was showing up. And now, fast forward, because of that show and his commitment to himself to continue on for himself, even though no one was really showing up yet, it eventually got him on TV shows with Conan O'Brien and, Fox and Friends and things like that, talking about wine. And then everyone began to realize, dude, this guy knows what's up with social media. He's gotten national televised broadcast time because he was so good and consistent with his social media. So then people started asking him about social media stuff. And now he runs a company called, if you don't know, called VaynerMedia with his brother, which is a multi-million dollar a year business. I think $200 million a year business. And for him, he'll tell you it started way, 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 way back. But really, in the digital world, it started with his wine library TV show that nobody watched for 18 months. But he kept going. And eventually Conan O'Brien saw it. Eventually other people on TV saw it. So I'll leave it with that. That's probably one of the best examples I could give. Another example I could give of this entire thing we talked about today. I believe it was, if you happen to see this, David, I believe it was your story that said this. If I say it in error in some way, forgive me, but I believe David from Live Streaming Pros also does a live geek show, said that he was doing his live show and nobody was really watching. Well, sorry, he didn't say that. There were people watching, but the most important person, the people who were watching, weren't the ones that were going to bring in his income. They were the people who just kind of made his show fun and interacted and talked with him. Those were the people those are the social people, the friends, the acquaintances. But the one watching that was the most important, that did translate into money for him and actually brought him to a lot more business, was Michael Hyatt. If you don't know Michael Hyatt, I'll mention him in the comments. You can mention him. I'll link him up in the replay post, and you can check him out and see who Michael Hyatt is. Huge in his respective market. So Michael Hyatt was watching David's show. And David, if you see this, please comment. Share the full story, bro. Share it. Put it in a comment below. Share the story or link up to one of your videos, David, where you share this so people can see it the correct way, because I know I'm missing information or I'm sharing it a little bit skewed, but the point is still the same. That Michael Hyatt was watching David's live show, listening to what he was preaching, listening to his message, and David had no idea. And then Michael finally reached out and said, I want to hire you. I'm going to pay you money. I'm going to give you income to come out to my place and set me up a live studio like you guys have, and I want to pay you for it. And because of that, it's translated into relationship after relationship that only came through Michael Hyatt. And now he's gotten more clientele because of that. So did he know that Michael was watching, according to what David said? I think he said no. That was his audience of one. There were lots of other people watching and interacting, but the one person who actually gave him business and then referred him more business was not liking, was not sharing, was not commenting, but was watching. And it took time. So I'll leave it with that. So I hope you found value in the show. If you did, please let me know. And like, share, comment, give it some love. I'll just say give it some love. Excuse me. Give it some love. And we'll be here Friday. So today's Wednesday. Be here every local social live. Let me just put the thing up here. So everybody can go check it out. fb.com/local social live. Encourage you to connect with the page and interact. I don't want this. I'm committed to this show and myself enough that I will sit here and talk to myself and be on the only one on this show as long as it takes for people to start paying attention and then coming on the show with me, whether that's 6 months or 6 years. I'm going to be here, but I don't want this to be my show. I don't want this to be me. I want to make your voice heard. I want you to come on the show and share your wins and lessons in social media and life and marketing. I want to feature you and your business. Do I have a huge audience right now? No. But I know that as things go, I will eventually. And when I get to that point where 100, 500, 1,000 people are watching any given episode in a week, that they're going to go back and see the other episodes. So coming on now, even when I'm only getting 50, 60 views a week for each episode, I guess you can choose a limiting belief and say, well, he doesn't have a big audience yet. Yeah, but guess what? When I do have a big audience and people are paying attention, they're going to go back and watch the previous episodes. Will you be there? It's up to you. So there's my sales pitch. Come on the show with me. Let me talk about you and your business and discuss things. So this is Jordan Molson for Local Social Live, signing out on episode number 5 of our What's Up Social Wednesdays. We'll be here every week. As of right now, every week, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. high noon, Eastern Standard Time. Wednesdays is What's Up Social Wednesdays, where we talk all things social and whatever. And then Friday is focused on live streaming. It's called our Face Live Friday show, where we focus in on live streaming and what's going on in the world of live video. So Jordan Molson signing off. See if there's any other closing statements here. I think that's about it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your attention. Thanks for being here. God bless you, and we'll see you again soon. Wednesdays and Fridays, 12 noon.